Fast by Jared I. McGee. Though his widow's peak was always a bit steep, Sean's hairline was in crisis now that he had hit 33. As a high school history teacher, the weight and breadth of his historical knowledge had made this particular birthday one that he'd been dreading for almost 3 straight years. After all the greats of the ancient world that he so admired had accomplished everything there was to accomplish by 33. Alexander, Caesar, Augustus, Christ himself. And the list goes on and on and on and on. However, this fine, crispy September 30th, as he trudged ever toward his October 1st 33rd birthday, Sean just could not see his life going much of anywhere. The last morning of 32 was, well, just another morning. He showered in his efficiency apartment's modest bathroom, steaming up the cooled air with the hotter-than-to-be-advised water that he liked to think washed his cares away. Upon exiting that shower, though, he, as always, wiped the steam from the mirror and was greeted with his balding head. He had to lean in closely to see those thinning scraps of hair, since, along with his disappearing dignity, came disappearing keenness of vision as well. With that lean-in, his back groaned and complained, and his belly brushed the clammy porcelain of the sink basin. Wow. What had happened to him? Was it him? Or maybe all this fading of greatness was something far beyond just his own diminishment. Certainly men and women did not reach for stars in the same way that they used to. How and why was that? Is the world simply dimming as a whole? With the exponential increase of the world population, maybe the amount of greatness available to be in the world was just spread a bit too thin. The steam was gone now. The stringy, mouse-brown yarns were already beginning to dry, frizzing ever so slightly. At least with less hair to go around, dyeing his hair was a much easier task for Sean. That was something. Black divots of pores on his nose, red veins in the whites of his eyes, off-white yellowing teeth, coarse hair creeping into and onto his ears, steely silver, and shocks of white in his beard. The bags under his eyes were ever present, but that was comforting to Sean. Those bags had always been with him. His great-grandmother on his mother's side told him that that's because their family was related to Abraham Lincoln, somewhere far back in the family tree. Then again, everyone was related to someone famous or powerful anymore. Thanks a lot, Ancestry DNA. And who cares? Sharing DNA with a great man or woman did not a great man or woman make. Sean realized with an ounce of surprise that, at some point during his pondering of Honest Abe and those familial bags, he'd wandered into his bedroom and had all but dressed himself for the day. He'd gone into neutral, allowing his daily processes just to move him along. And wasn't that the way of it? These mundane doings that make up one's typical daily lives taking on prominence and primacy over any attempts at shooting for illustriousness. Too many deep thoughts before work. Sean grabbed his keys and messenger bag and zipped out to his car. He really had to focus and get his mind back in the here and now. Today's lesson in Roman history was going to be on Horace and his writing after one of the major Roman civil wars. That was a small blessing, at least. One of the quotations from Horace he was going to have the students discuss today was,
"The lofty pine is oftenest shaken by the winds. High towers fall with a heavier crash, and the lightning strikes the highest mountain."
That small tidbit made his mood brighten a little. That fast-fleeing hairline would ensure that this pine was shielded. This tower was humble. This mountain was more foothill than Alp. Sean shifted his rearview mirror, pushing his scraggly hair from his view and backing out of his driveway. Thank you for listening to Fast, an original short story by Jared I. McGee. The backing tracks for Fast were taken from Muse Open at museopen.org. Muse Open is a 501c3 nonprofit focused on increasing access to music by creating free resources and educational materials. They provide recordings, sheet music, and textbooks to the public for free without copyright restrictions. As they say, their mission is to set music free. These two tracks are the Allegro and Adagio from String Quartet No. 1, Opus 46 by Swan Hennessy, a composition in 4 sections. The Muse Open artist performing is Steve's Bedroom Band, a frequent contributor to the site and its mission. A sincere thank you to the artist and museopen.org for the contribution. This track is being used under a Creative Commons Attribution Share-alike License 4.0. As always, keep your eyes peeled for the next short story from Prose, and me, Jared I. McGee.